All right, boys and girls, students, this is we're still on week 9, and now I want to talk about the sources in the written production. One of the evaluations that you had to do 2 or 3 weeks ago was to write a body paragraph, and you had to use elements of the sources of some sources that I provided. There were 3 sources, 3 links, and I feel that some of you struggled. Some of you had difficulties with that. Okay. Now, if we look at source number one is about old people. Okay, that's the topic. It's about how old people deal with isolation. Okay. Now, these are the main points, the main ideas of the article number one. It doesn't really matter if you're old or not. Actually, you guys are not old. You're young. You're not old people, right? But look at the main points. The main ideas are social isolation, physical limitation. They feel disconnected. Social isolation may lead to depression, stress, and anxiety. Technology is used to fight against social isolation. So these elements, these points, these themes are in a way universal. They're not only associated to all people, but they're associated to everybody in the situation that we live in. So when you read a source, what I want you to do, I want you to look at the main points and use these elements within your written production. Same thing with source number 2. It was about online libraries in South Korea where students gather to study because it helps them. So there's this uh, they mimic the a library, and then students gather over there, and then it helps them study, right? So main points: it's an online trend to overcome loneliness and of studying. So instead of studying alone, it's like a simulation of you being in a library. It's intended to mimic the environment of a library to help viewers concentrate. So the reason why they're doing this is because most of the time students study in intervals. Videos allow to transform your room or your computer screen into a study space. Now they talked about Pomodoro technique. They talk about being productive. They talk about it helps them structure their time and finding the discipline to study. Connection in it. So another element that is mentioned is that why students like it is because they can connect in a time of physical distance. They can connect online. Really do help create connection. Now, maybe, maybe what is important here, I want you to use the elements here, the elements of the sources. Now, maybe you've come up with a system. Maybe the system in order to help you studying is not online libraries. Maybe you guys Zoom. Okay, let you say, for example, with other friends, you say, all right, every Wednesday night we FaceTime and then we talk about what we have to do at school. Okay, it doesn't have to be online libraries specifically. It can be something similar, but the same can be something similar to online libraries, but you share the same ideas as what the source suggests. So if, for example, every week you FaceTime instead of having of creating or going to on online libraries, let's say you FaceTime. Well, maybe you think that it's productive more than just studying all by yourself. Maybe the feeling of connection helps you. Maybe if you FaceTime with some students, it helps you to study in intervals, so it helps your motivation. Same thing goes with source number 3. Source number 3 is about comics. I'm not an artist myself, so I'm not going to draw. But what is it that you do in a time of confinement like the one we're living right now that reuses the main point. So if, for example, for you it's to do sports, if, for example, for you is to go running, why? Why for you running is similar to comics, okay? Maybe because when you run, you retain your powers of observation. You look at what's going on outside. Maybe because it helps you to reflect. Okay. Maybe because running, if you run with, well, technically right now you don't have time. Well, not time, but you're not supposed to run with other people. But maybe it helps you to connect with other people. I don't know. You don't necessarily specifically have to talk about comics. But what I want you to do, I want you to use the main points and apply them to your situation. Me, when I run, after that, I feel more productive. The same way as when in the this article, when the person draws, she feels connected and more productive. It doesn't have to be about comic itself. Okay, it can be something else that you do. And that's so. Yeah, I want you to keep this in mind for final written production.